Welcome to Awakening Divine Wildness. I am so excited today because we're going to get to talk about one of my favorite topics, intuition. And today we have the best expert that I know of about psychic abilities and intuition. Joining me today is Sherrie Dillard, and she's been a psychic since childhood. She's a psychic, she's a medium, a medical intuitive, and a teacher for over 30 years. Among her international clientele are spiritual leaders, celebrities, and business executives. She has given over 50,000 readings. Her books, she has 11 of them currently on Amazon, have been translated into 8 languages, and her writing has also appeared in national magazines such as Glamour, Huffington Post, The LeafNet, New Age Journal, and Yahoo homepage. She's been featured on television, radio, and print for her work as a psychic and a medium. She's an expert at helping others to better understand and develop their innate intuitive and spiritual gifts. Her passion for the fusion of intuition, spirituality, and conscious self-growth has made her a popular speaker and teacher. She has a master's in divinity and a PhD in metaphysics and new thought and pastoral counseling. Sherrie, I am so honored to have you today. This is going to be a great show.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me. I feel very honored to be here.
Intuition is a very hot topic for me because I've learned the hard way by not paying attention. And so I wonder why it's so difficult, especially for women, to develop and even learn to trust their intuition.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, that brings up a good point because women tend to be intuitive. I mean, it's something that, sometimes we take for granted and we don't name it intuition. Sometimes it can be very gentle when it comes to family or friends and feeling, that something might be going on or feeling what someone else is feeling. And for a woman, that feels very natural to kind of like have awareness in that way. It doesn't even feel like intuition. And then there are other times when our intuition is more pronounced, when we get a strong signal that maybe that's not the best partner to be dating, or it might not be the best business decision, or there's something that we're needing to pay attention to with our health or something like that. And those are the times when we often don't pay attention. We can kind of ignore it at that time. And one of the things that I found that helps that is to become more aware of when we are normally intuiting, so we can build our confidence up about the little things that we intuit that we kind of take for granted, and we don't even give a second thought to why we know how another feels. I mean, of course we know, we're women. Anything within relationships. And even now, honestly, it enters the business world quite a lot too, is we have gut feelings about things. So as we become aware of those little things, and that's one of the things I do in the books, is I bring up the little things, that the subtle cues that maybe we dismiss. And when we notice those more, pay attention to them, and then kind of see the outcome of how accurate they are, it helps us to build up that intuitive muscle a little bit, so that when the bigger things come along, we can be, oh, well, yeah, this has always played out. Maybe I should listen.
Give me an example of like some of the little things that you're talking about.
Okay, so some of the little things are, like I said, kind of how another might be feeling. Another would be walking, we'll talk about business, walking into a meeting or something to do with work, and you get butterflies in your stomach. Or, everything's fine, you walk into a party, we'll say, and you immediately get this vibe of, I don't know, I'm a little uncomfortable, I don't know why, even though you've been looking forward to it, you're excited about it. Or you walk into a gathering and you're all, you're suddenly feeling kind of more open and sharing. And that's surprising too, because maybe you're not normally like that. That's just the way that we pick up energy. That's our energy response. And intuition is connected to energy. It's energy information. Some other subtle cues may be dreams. You know, a lot of our intuition comes up in dreams, where sometimes it's a clear message. A lot of times it's not, though. It's kind of fuzzy, but we know it's significant. We kind of, yeah, I don't know. I had this dream. It feels like something. And sometimes, you know, we'll know it. We won't know exactly what it's about, but we'll have that sense, and that's our intuition. It also shows up subtly in our health too, where, you know, I do a fair number of medical readings with people, and I'll bring up certain foods or other things that they're doing that may be having a detrimental effect. And quite often, you know, women shake their head like, oh yeah, well, I know that. You know, I felt that, but I guess I didn't listen to it, or I dismissed it. So it's that kind of thing where it's kind of in the back of our mind somewhere, or in our body. And it's like, yeah, I know that, but this is more important, you know, what's like right in front of my face, more tangible. So, you know, those are examples that I think everybody can probably relate to in some way.
For me, a strong hit's a gut feeling.
Right.
I get a real deep gut feeling, and it's almost like a warning sign.
Yeah.
It's telling me something's not right. No.
Yeah.
You know, pay attention here. Wake up. Look at everything. You know, don't assume. Look at all the facts. And when I've ignored that feeling, it has cost me dearly.
As we have all been there too.
It has been, and I don't mean in a monetary way, but more in an emotional way, mental way, that I've put myself in some really painful situations because I didn't pay attention to the warning.
We've all been there. I mean, I think that that's something all women can relate to. And, you know, I think part of it too is we're kind of socialized to, in a way that, you know, from a young age, you know, young girls are very intuitive. I mean, it's not something that just happens as we get older. You know, when we're young, a lot of girls, I notice with my granddaughters, they're like that. I can see it in them. They just get feelings about people or situations, and sometimes they pull back, and we kind of get coached as women to kind of be there for others, you know, and to put aside some of those feelings is to kind of, you know, pay attention to what others, you know, I know with my granddaughters, I can see that too, of like, no, go play. That's fine. Like, just no, go do that, you know? You know, and I think it's well-meaning. I think part of it is parents and schools and all, you know, wanting us to be kind of confident and not playing into our feelings or things like that. But I think the detrimental effect is we tend to ignore all that, and we ignore kind of what we know to whatever that may be, do what is expected, you know, do what we think we should be doing.
I think a common thing for women too is that lots of times, as you said, as children, we do have these gifts.
Right.
And when we do pop something flies out of our mouth, we're told to dismiss, you know, forget about that. That's ridiculous. Right. Let go of that. You don't know what you're talking about. That's craziness. It's foolish. And so that gift starts being suppressed very early on. And then we're afraid to speak up or use it as we grow up.
Right. Definitely. Yeah. Yeah. I think, you know, like going back to my granddaughters, my one granddaughter the other day told me she wants a real unicorn, a real one. She kept saying, no, I want a real one. And I realized that in her mind, there was a real unicorn. And that kind of, although it's imagination and there are no real unicorns, I get that. It's that same thing we're talking about. Well, how does she distinguish between that awareness? Well, there's a real unicorn out there. I really want the real one, as to what else is coming in, you know, because I bring this up because our intuition a lot of times is connected to our imagination too. Our imagination puts meaning sometimes to the energy that we're receiving. And it's a fine line sometimes between differentiating what's imagination, as in fanciful hopes and dreams and wishes, and what is in that imagination kind of realm within us that is actually, are being used to give us information, to put a form to the energy we're receiving.
And I think that's a very important point that you're bringing up, because so many women dismiss their intuition because they think it's imagination.
Exactly, right.
When in fact, it's a much deeper source of communication that they're
right.
Any helpful hints on how we can decipher those more effectively so that we know what the source of the information is that we're receiving?
Right. I talk a lot about this in the new book, You Are Psychic, because there is actually very discernible signs when you're connecting to real information and when you're not. I'll just talk about a few of them. One of them is, we'll talk about receiving energy, information, intuition through thoughts. I'll give you an example. You're ready to go to work. You're driving, you're getting in your car, and you hear this, or you feel this thought or feeling, and it's, don't take the highway, take the back roads, And you think, well, you don't even think much. You get in the car, you turn on the radio, and, why would I do that? I'm not going to do that. And so you get in and so you drive, you go on the highway, and sure enough, there's an accident and you're backed up and you're late for work. And you think, wow, I kind of knew to take the back roads, but I didn't think it. All right. So in that example, energy information, intuition that comes in as thought, it tends to be kind of flat, believe it or not. It tends to be a concise, repetitive, over and over awareness. Don't take the highway, take the back roads. Or with business, or we'll say with someone you meet relationship wise, something like, this person is not going to treat you well. It's not going to treat you well, not going to treat you well. And it doesn't incite a lot of emotion. Intuitive information, unlike our ego, our thinking or feeling capacity on self-generated, gets us excited, gets us kind of, it triggers us, where intuitive information doesn't do that. It's just, even if it's something really important, it's kind of just states it, like, go to the doctor. I had that happen with my teeth not that long, and here I write all the books about it, and I kept getting this like message, go to the dentist. Give your dentist a call. Well, I didn't give my dentist a call. And I regret doing that, because when I finally went in, it was a bigger issue than it would have been if I had just go to the dentist. And that's one of the reasons, again, we don't listen, is because it doesn't kind of always shake us and grab us. Even if it's intense inside of us, we can kind of easily ignore it, because that's not what I want. I want this relationship to work out. I'm going to make it work. And so this voice that's saying, nope, not going to work, not going to work. It's sometimes, honestly, it's easy to dismiss. So part of it is paying attention to the subtle, consistent, repetitive feelings or thoughts, and listening to that, and not trying to override it, and not expecting that. Here's another thing that we do that we get into trouble with. This is probably one of the bigger ones, is we want to know why.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Guilty. Yeah.
Why should I take the back roads? I don't want to take the back roads. I want to zip down there to work. I want this relationship to work. Why shouldn't I trust this person? He did this or he did that. Why shouldn't I? Intuition doesn't usually fill in the why. And that can be really tough one for us who don't want to make decisions based on not knowing what's going to happen, And again, it's subtle. It can be even like picking up the phone to talk to a friend. They could be going through something kind of in a big deal, and we're just getting this message of, call Sarah, give her a call, send her an email. Go ahead, do it. But it's not like, oh my gosh, do you know what she's going through? You better get on that phone right now because Sarah's having a tough day. She's had all kinds of problems. You got to get on that. You understand what I'm saying. It's not like, filling in the blanks for us.
And also intuition, a premonition isn't like ego oriented. It's not about attacking somebody else or negative.
No.
It's as you're saying, it's very neutral information. It's not meant to trigger, just repetitive, kind of a nudge.
Right.
But not information that's like really self-serving or in any way works against somebody else. It's not that kind of thing.
No, never. In fact, no, you never get ego gratified by your intuition. No. It doesn't tell you you're the best. It doesn't do that. It doesn't tell you you're the worst, though, either. It doesn't. It can be uplifting, though. Don't get me wrong. That's one reason I love working with intuition, is that the more you listen, the more that you open yourself to intuition, the more you realize there is a lot of love just out there. There is a definitely positive energy that I can absorb and feel that's uplifting, that guides me for my highest good, that really has my best interest at heart, that's protective of me. It can be incredibly gratifying in that way, but it doesn't appeal, like you said, to the ego part of us.
Right.
It's something that gives us so much, but yet it's more developmental soulfully and spiritually in us as humans than it is kind of putting us on a pedestal. Or we can never use intuition to try to get back at someone or to know something about them that can be damaging, because that just completely backfires on us. All we do in that way is attract negative energy.
And I do see women who, I've even listened to them, that have said, well, I got this really strong intuitive hit. And it was negative about somebody. And it was very self-serving what they were saying. And I was saying, that can't be intuition. This may be a stupid question, but what's the difference between, say, psychic abilities and being intuitive?
Well, it's not a stupid question. It's a very, very valid question. Because it depends on who you ask that in some ways. If you ask me, which you did, I tend to use them interchangeably, but some people are more comfortable with the word intuition than they are psychic. Psychic can bring up the idea of something way paranormal, kind of like out there, where intuition feels a little bit more naturalist to, our everyday lives. Some people will use, and I have used the word psychic to also describe using our intuition more, invoking it, to use it when we want to use it, because in that way it becomes more something, an ability that, and sometimes I guess that may be feeling different to some people than intuition that just is happening. And psychic energy or psychic ability, that is something that, incorporates different psychic skills that we can develop more.
Is it a different level of communication?
Well, it is, in the way that when we, it's not as random and spontaneous as our intuition. It's something that we do have to kind of work out a little bit more, if we're wanting to, let's say, you have a choice to make with a job, or some whatever choice it may be, what to school to go to, something like that. And you can use your intuition just simply in the way of kind of getting a feel for either one. But if we wanted to talk about kind of more using a psychic ability for it, then you could, I have a lot of exercises in the book about this, where you would basically get into a little bit more of a quiet, relaxed, meditative state. And then you, whatever, whether it's, there's different ways to work with this energy. You can visualize it. you can open your heart and get more of a sense in your heart of what, kind of just invoking that to kind of hone in a little bit more. But I've been doing this work for so long. I've been doing this work for, I always tell people, longer than I like to think I'm old. Probably close to 40 years now. And I've written a lot of books. And the funny thing is, the more I write and the more I work with people, the more I really don't even know how important that is to categorize certain abilities. That's a big thing. Well, is it clairsentience? Is it clairvoyance? Is it, this, or is it that? And I think sometimes that really detracts from the very natural way that we can know things that are useful to our everyday lives, because that's kind of the bottom line. It's not to develop these fantastic skills that you can pull out to amaze people. I mean, we can do that. That's perfectly fine. I have to do a fair amount of that just because that's what I do for work. But it's not really that essential to our well-being. Sometimes it's just keeping to the basics, opening our heart, feeling our body, listening to our thoughts. I think we can get further sometimes than getting hung up in, am I doing this ability right? Am I following the directions? I see people get, kind of crippled in just the basics. And it's kind of, like I said, the farther I go, the more I go backwards, and just like, well, listen, learn to listen, learn to relax. We can get very far as just doing those simple things, really.
It's almost like the same thing with meditation. People, are focusing on a technique, a way,
right. Yeah.
And it's not about the technique. Just
right.
settle down, get quiet, and just enjoy the experience. And I think you're saying the same thing here with our intuition, or if we're trying to develop psychic ability, is to just ease into it, relax. Now, you're also, which I find fascinating, is a medical intuitive, and this is becoming more and more and more prevalent in healthcare and in treatment of people. Explain a little bit about what that medical intuitive means.
It's interesting because that was a kind of intuition I was not that excited about developing. It kind of came to me. I lived for a very long time within walking distance of Duke University Hospital. And there was a lot going on there with new types of, modalities, things like that. Well, years ago, this happened. One of them that was being explored there was medical intuition. And so I got involved through some people I know, some physicians that work there, and they started sending people to me that were people that had kind of unexplained problems or things that they had multiple diagnoses. They couldn't quite figure out, is it this, is it that? And just to see whatever I got, basically, to see if I could be helpful. So over the years, I've just gotten a lot of people come to me for those reasons, because I kind of started out with that. And I wasn't really confident in it. I kind of was surprised people were coming to me, to be honest with you, because I don't have a medical background. So all I would do was tell people what I got. And I couldn't use medical terms because I don't know them. So I just describe, well, this is what I see happening. This is what I look at your body. That's what I get. I actually had a client this morning with a heart problem who, I kind of just described what I got, and she ended up, confirming that she had just had some surgery. We won't go into the whole thing, but the surprising thing about medical intuition is that it's not as hard as people think. I know that sounds odd, because it was daunting to me. It was very daunting to me to think, oh my gosh, it was like scary. I would have doctors saying, oh, we're going to send this person. I'm like, okay, great. Well, I don't know. So I just completely had to rely on my intuition, and it worked out well for me. I do a lot of medical work now. I don't, like I said, it kind of came to me. I scan the body. I look at the body.
Do you see organs or energy
Yeah, I
or
see
color?
organs. I definitely see organs quite a bit. I mean, almost like I see them. I mean, I'm pretty clairvoyant, if we want to use terms, in terms of that, just seeing images. Oh, yeah. I mean, I'll literally see veins, or I'll see muscles, or I'll see the stomach lining. I mean, I just very clearly can see what's going on. And that's what I describe to people, is exactly what I see and feel. And if I get messages about that, I'll pass those along. I guess my problem, I guess, because it is becoming more prevalent, is that my personal belief is that I have found that some medical intuitives are prescribing a lot of, and not prescribing because they're not physicians, but recommending, will say, lots of different supplements and things to eat, things, supplements. And in my work, I've found that a lot of people can't really utilize a lot of the supplements they're given. It can actually be causing problems. So when I see someone that says they're a medical intuition, but I realize they're actually selling supplements or products, I get a real red flag. So that would be my only red flag to tell people, is that if you want to do that, I would suggest you find someone that isn't also selling a product. And it's just an easy kind of, I don't necessarily mean anybody's doing it with ill intent, but it's just something I would say to be a little bit wary about.
Okay. Have you ever gotten information you didn't want to know?
Oh, absolutely. All the time.
Really?
Yeah.
Like, oh, well, I did not want to know that. Or, I mean, it, like, information just comes to you.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to do with anything anyone that you know personally that's around you, or
It doesn't happen that often to me anymore. I mean, it used to happen, but I've trained myself now to not know and to not pick up things like that.
Mhm.
And the funny thing with me is that if something happens that I have absolutely no control over and I don't know about it beforehand, I'm kind of relieved, because it's hard to know. I mean, I'm like, good, I'm glad I didn't know that, because what are you going to do with that if you have no control? It's very difficult. And that's another reason people shut down, is because sometimes when you're too open, it can be tough, and you don't even know why you're getting these feelings or thoughts. I mean, you don't even know why all of a sudden am I feeling my body's heavy, or I feel really weighed down or tired. What is that about? A lot of times that's just absorbing energy around. So again, it's something I talk a lot about in the book, about how to kind of take care of yourself, your physical self, your energy health, and keep yourself in pure, positive, high energy environments and with people, and only really receiving that. So you're not walking around burdened by energy that you have no idea what to do with or where it's coming from.
I would think it would be most important for you to protect yourself, protect your energy field, who you're with, all of that too, because you do receive so much. You are open, you are receptive.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. I think everybody should, though, especially women. I really do. I think more women absorb energy than they're aware of. I really do. Because a lot of times being empathetic, can really, having that empathy for others, women it just goes right into the heart, right into the body, and we can feel it for others. And that isn't always in our best interest or in the other person's best interest, because it may not honestly be helping them any, as much as we think we might be or not.
I can always sense when someone doesn't like me, even though they're acting, kind of normal.
Right.
I can feel it deeply
Right.
when someone doesn't like me, but they're hiding it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why, but I just do. I just.
Oh, well, it's good that you're feeling that. I mean, because what that could translate into, if you didn't know, would be bad feelings about yourself. Like, oh, I don't feel good about myself. So it's good to be able. Yeah, I'm always kind of happy when I know that someone doesn't like me, because then I can kind of I almost feel like, good. Well, I'm not everybody's cup of tea. I get that. I mean, never have been, never will be. And let them be. That's fine. They can go be them. But it helps me to not, I can kind of put up a bit of a shield then. Not out of anger. I don't wish no one any ill harm or anything, but it's just, I don't need that energy though either.
Well, I want to shout out your book again, You Are Psychic, which is on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
Came out in June, which has a lot of really in-depth information about the tips that you gave us today. And also, I want to let the listeners know that you have a wonderful free audio, I believe you called it a meditation.
It's kind of like an intuitive exercise meditation.
That's on your website. People can go sign up for your newsletter and get that free audio file as well. Right on your website, which is sherriedillard.com, and I will put that also in the show notes. Sherrie, it's been wonderful.
It's been great. Thank you so much. I had a great time
of having you on today. I know how busy you are. When's the next book coming up?
I don't know.
I mean, 11, girl. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that one. Yeah.
Well, you've got a beautiful collection of books.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been great.
It's been wonderful.